Okay?
Right.
And then next, sa further left side, yung mukhang flower na green, are called hops. It's actually a family of cannabis. Alright? But
That's what I was gonna say.
Oh yeah.
but
It's the beer part.
don't
I
try
didn't know that.
don't try this. It's just a family. It will not bring you anything. So
Okay, so don't even try chewing this or smoking this shit. It's not gonna get you high.
yeah.
Right? Finally, you're done. It's about time. Pare, we talked about every topic in the world, and now finally we're gonna talk about craft beer.
Craft beer.
Boss, ready na ako, ha? Ready.
Nice. But it's so weird, you know. Chick, usually you think I'll talk about alcohol, talk about this thing. We went all over the place, pare. So this thing is all about, name it, anything goes. But of course, we've got to talk about our first love, right? Craft beer, man.
Okay.
And who better with Jun Flores? Diba?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. So wait, what are we? We are on number 17. My God, we're 17 already.
17 na?
Yeah, 17 na, man. Wild, pare. So, okay, here we go. Cross Talk, episode number 17. We have our guest with us, Jun Flores. Hi, Jun.
Hello, good evening. And thank you for inviting me. I know it's been a while. I think parang 2 months ago pa ata sinabihan mo ako na you're gonna invite me. Yeah, so.
It's been a while. It's crazy. We have so many ideas. You've also been busy. So our topic obviously is gonna be on craft beer. Your affiliation. With the CBAP community. Everything craft. We'd like to make this as 101 as possible. This is not an advanced podcast like. You're involved in so many things, and of course, the home brewers, the high tech guys that are coming up with all kinds of craft. This is really for the newbie. We want people to appreciate what craft beer is about, and really starting from the basic. Talagang basic. I mean,
From zero.
From zero, right? Why should they get into it? But before any of that, I've got slides to show. I got pictures for you to tell us about, But before getting into any of that, tell us about yourself, Jun. I mean, you were not in the Philippines for very long. You were away, right?
Yes. Actually, I was galing ako to Singapore. I've been in Singapore for almost 20 years. And then I moved here back in 2015, I think. Yep.
2015.
Yes.
Pero yung craft beer, did you get hold of that? I mean, where did that bug get you? Is it in Singapore or dito na?
I actually started back in Singapore. I started home brewing back then, 2005, and then I stopped 2008.
Wow. Okay. And so were you like everybody else? How did you? I mean, you start? Did you come up with, like, for example, how these? I'd like to show you this because everybody's, has to start somewhere, right? But is this, kasi ako, dito ako naumpisa sa brew kit eh. Did you, what I mean, brew kit. Did you start off with a brew kit or did you just pull things together and started brewing yourself?
Okay. I got na-influence ako ng office mate ko back in Hewlett Packard. So, parang, kasi like, HP kasi it's very open American company. You can actually do anything you want. Parang relax ka. You can watch TV. You can watch anything or do anything. So every Friday, what we do is we bring alcohol sa office.
Okay,
and then
nice.
Somebody will like carry it around and like give you a shot. Tapos there's one person who bring his own brewed beer.
Homebrewed
He let it,
beer.
and then he let it try sa group namin. So sabi ko, oh, this is interesting. Sabi ko, because of course in Singapore, di ba, ang mahal ng alcohol beverage.
Very
So
expensive.
sabi ko, maybe I'll try and get into this hobby. But of course, getting into it, people thinks that doing your own beer will be much cheaper. Actually, it's not. It's actually it's like your regular hobby that you will spend more and more and more to like upgrade your system. You know.
Yes, yes.
But it's good. It is good.
But there are people who are able to, avoid the whole obsession of going big. No, they stay home brewing. They brew for themselves, for their friends. I mean, I saludo ako those people who can do that, right? But many who have got bitten by that bug, it's a rabbit hole. It just goes in so many different directions and goes deep, 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 right? So okay, so you're in Singapore, then you have this friend offers you home brew, and then what? I mean, you had access to home brew materials?
Yes, I think yun yung maganda sa Singapore. They have almost everything. I think even like some of the local Filipino brewers try to get some of the ingredients there. I think I remember back in 2012, may mga orders from in order sa akin, and send it here. So I think ang maganda doon sa Singapore is kasi it's like open market and they have almost everything. And there's two person who started home brewing shops there. So it's
So what was the very first craft you brewed? Do you remember?
I think it's just a pale ale. It's just a regular American pale ale. Yeah, but
then,
of course,
back then, wala pa yung Beer Smith and all that, no? So you had to what? You went online or you just made kapa-kapa? I mean, how did you know how much of this and how much of that, and how do you just ask your friends?
Yeah, I ask my friends, and usually it comes with a kit. So it's parang the
recipe.
Yes, you get the recipe. But of course, initially it's not the first brew that I did is not all grains. It's just parang instant, diba? Yung 3-in-1, yung liquid malts.
Yes.
Diba? Kasi in brewing there's maraming klase. So it's just like an instant. So all you have to do is just pour it in the water, pakuluan mo.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's it. Then ferment it.
Okay. We'll go through each step. By the way, I want you to describe, I mean, every step and everything from the most basic.
Yeah.
Because I want people to appreciate what we craft brewers are doing here. There's magic with 4 ingredients, right? That's it. 4 ingredients, right?
But of course, diba? That very first brew, it sucks, diba?
Yeah. It does.
You don't really know what is kung ano talaga how to brew proper beer, diba? Parang nakita mo lang, you have to just put it in a bucket, put this and that, diba? You think that's it, right? It's not
like that.
It's not easy, but as long as you know what
you're doing,
and I think you will achieve a good and great beer.
But the thing is, I mean, it feels good when you finally make a proper craft and you share it with friends, and they're like, "Okay to, sarap na to, di ba?" I mean, I guess it's the same feeling when a chef cooks some good meal and the person loves what you've cooked. So it's the same thing. It's great. The feeling is great.
Yeah, especially when you like these people, I will invite them to go to my house because I prepared something and then I'll let them try, diba? Parang wala silang pwedeng sabihin na masama kasi they're in my house.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, you're
Yeah.
getting your beer for free, man. Just enjoy it.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So that's good. So did you have like in Singapore, did you have like a home brewing community? Was there one when you were there?
Well, meron silang group yung iBrew, and I
Yeah.
think even now they regularly have events like competition
Okay.
there. Yeah.
Okay. Pero when you were there, when you were starting out,
Wala pa.
wala pa.
Yes.
So everything was kapa-kapa. I mean, you had to find your
Yeah.
information. You know,
Like
you talk to the people selling the beer equipment. How do you do this? Hey, what
yeah.
do you suggest? Ganon, no?
I mean, hindi naman ganun katagal pa rin yan. May internet na nun. So,
Ah, okay, okay. So you could
so
research,
it's
yeah.
just, yeah,
Yeah,
research.
yeah.
But the thing is, it's not like now, diba? Now it's easier kasi you get the support of the group or like
Yes.
this. I think this
Yeah.
is good. This is like having a club or a group or it's good kasi you can easily ask questions on
And get
anything
answered, yeah.
about yes.
Correct. Because before it was like, for me, YouTube, diba? You have to go to YouTube and then see what the hell, how do you sanitize a keg? How do you clean, diba? What's the best way to lauter or, things like that.
Yes.
Back then, you had to find your way. Now, it's really so much easier, at least here in the Philippines, than it was back in 2012, 2011. Imagine, 2005 ka pa when you were brewing in Singapore.
Yes. And then I
Imagine
think
that.
ang maganda dito, like especially now, everything is available. Hindi you don't,
Yes.
diba? Like compared like 10 years ago, even like
Nothing.
yung hindi lang home brewers, even the microbreweries before are having difficulty of getting all their ingredients, right? They have to
Correct.
themselves. But now, because everything is here, so I think it's easier for a home brewer to or anyone to start and go into home brewing.
So when you did you come back and forth to the Philippines from Singapore when you were working there, or you stayed there pretty much?
No, I was there. I stayed there really dire-diretso.
Straight.
Uuwi lang ako.
Because
Uuwi lang ako.
if you did come home and you realize, pare, walang home brewing dito, di ba? You could have been really the guru back then. Di ba?
Parang hindi eh. Like uuwi lang ako sa Manila kasi parang of course that 10 years ago or like 15 years ago, I was still young. So like party ka talaga. Pupunta ka na dito, party ka and then go back. There's nothing serious going on my
And back then, I mean, it was such early times, even for craft breweries. Craft beer, for that matter, di ba? Sila Jim, and we had Jim on here. He talked about his history, and it was. I mean, you couldn't find anything here. You couldn't find it. It was all commercial beer. I mean, craft beer was unheard of, right?
Yes.
Until what year was that, John Joe? Did he mention? I forgot the year now. When he started bringing in Stone and Sierra Nevada and all of these.
Could have been 2006, but I remember also we discussed in that episode there was actually a brewery here back in the late 90s.
Well, yeah.
Sa harap ng Hard Rock.
Actually, if you remember, yun sa Street Life, diba?
Yes.
There's a
Street
brewery
Life.
there.
Yes,
diba?
I remember that.
And even
that was nice.
They even call their place I think the brewery din ata ang pangalan. If I'm not wrong. Yeah.
So, but I guess they were so much ahead of their time. Sayang eh, kasi it was there na. Yeah.
But I heard that brewery is a San Miguel beer company.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was a
masquerading
as craft.
Well, I don't think it's masquerading. It's actually because they know of serving fresh beer from directly from the brewer is better than like bottling it and
correct.
And I think the brewer of that brewery is working now in Encanto.
Oh,
yes.
That's what I like about Jun, man. There's a lot of chismis going on.
Yeah. Now we know more.
Now we know more. Jun, let's start off with the whole brewing. Let's start off with the ingredients, buddy. Okay, in your screen, 4 ingredients. What are they?
Okay. All right. Of course, yung nasa further right, left, sa top is grains. Okay, but that's not just ordinary grains. It's actually malted grains. So it's a process, a grain that is being processed. So hindi lang siya just ordinary grains. Okay.
Yes, it's not like dry grain you can get in a grocery shop. No, it's malted grain. So parang may pinatubo. It's like they made, diba, you grow it and then you roast it, diba?
So they called it malted grains. So the malting is a process of germinating the grains, and until it germinate, they will stop and kiln it, meaning drying it.
Yes.
Okay.
And
so
why do they malt it? Because you need the sugars, right? You need the sugars.
Reason is when you germinate, it actually develops more starch into that.
To the grain.
To the grain. So yung starch na yun, yung ginagamit natin to convert to sugar and then sugar to alcohol.
Okay, so that's just the basic ano. And remember, we're gonna discuss each one, okay, and the different kinds of grains, the different roasting profiles. But in a nutshell, that's what the grain is for. The grain is your fuel for alcohol, diba?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
And then,
next.
Of course, we go to, and then next is dun sa bottom left side is water. Okay, so it's just pure clean water. Kahit tap water, pwede mo naman gamitin as long as you have to filter it para wala yung chlorine and other substances na it might affect your beer. Okay.
Right.
And then next, sa further left side, yung mukhang flower na green are called hops. It's actually a family of cannabis.
That's what I was gonna say.
Oh yeah.
Don't try this. Don't try this. It's just a family. It will not bring you anything. So
don't even try chewing this or smoking this shit. It's not gonna get you high, right?
Yes. So, but it's a family of cannabis. All right.
Okay.
So what it actually does in brewing is actually this flower gives you bitterness. So bitterness and flavor and aroma, and this is also parang antibacterial, may antibacterial component siya. So that gives your beer stay longer or
preserves it. No, parang it has some preservative qualities.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
you know what? Which is interesting, huh? I don't know. Maybe we should ask our director here to Google. Did the Egyptians? Kasi who has the title for making the first beer? That's a question. Is it the Egyptians? Is it the Chinese? Is it the Egyptians?
I think the Egyptians.
Wasn't it
earliest
nuns?
The nuns, dude. Are you kidding?
Yeah. Nuns started making beer.
Okay, let's see what Mr. Google has to say, right? Mr. Google, let's see. Sumerians. Okay, but what I'd like to know is, did these Sumerians use hops? Did they already use hops back then or wala pa?
No.
Not yet, no?
Yes. Isn't hops like native to particular areas? That's why we don't grow hops in the Philippines, do we?
Oh, here, the first beer recipe is 3,900 years old. Sumerian, what's this? Well, whatever it says, but I'm just trying to say. But I don't know. We just don't know if they had hops back then.
No,
right?
I think
right.
I think Germany is the one. I don't know whether Germany or in Europe side yung first parang
hops.
Gumamit ng hops.
Okay, so interesting. Okay, then we move on. Okay, what's the next ingredient? The last ingredient.
Okay, then
this all happened.
Yes, and then yung nasa top, yung parang granules na yan, that's the yeast. That actually the one that makes the beer. Okay.
Okay.
That converts your sugar into alcohol and carbon dioxide, and then also gives flavor to your beer.
Okay, next slide. This is just going back to the first ingredient, okay, which is the malt.
Okay.
You call it malt because it's malted grain. So it's a way of
Right.
saying it's my malt. Right? It's not
Yes.
just grain, it's
Malt.
malted grain. Okay, now what do you see here, June? Bakit
Okay.
madaming kulay, pare? Why
So,
all the different hues?
okay. So, etong mga grains na to are, they're used, meron basically, there's two, like, parang top basic na ng grains or malted grains. This is what do you call that? The base malts and the specialty malts. Okay. The base malts is where you get all your sugar para i-convert to alcohol, right? And
Okay,
then
so
the
you need that
special,
because then without alcohol you can't call it beer, right? So you
that's right.
need the base malt.
Yes.
Okay.
So usually the composition of base malts around like 80 to 90% of your grain composition are base
Yung recipe mo, your
recipe.
recipe.
Yes, because
Yeah.
it kasi doon kukunin yung sugar ng
Right.
for
Right.
beer, okay?
Right.
And then the rest of like kasi if you look at the pictures, meron kang makikitang like lighter brown, medyo shiny, 'di ba? There are like crystals. So it actually the reason why it's called crystals kasi yung sugar while they're drying it, uh, naluto siya, so it covers the
The actual
grain.
grain.
Yes.
It
So
coats it.
yeah, so pagka ginamit mo to sa beer mo, that it will contribute sweetness to your beer. All
Okay.
right.
Okay.
So depende which style ng beer ang gagawin mo, so you put some of this, some of that, like especially if yung mga stout or darker beer, then you put like those
Darker
darker
grain.
color. Yes, that contributes like minsan, 'di ba? Meron mga beers na lasang chocolates or lasang coffee, but there's no actual coffee or chocolate in it because
Okay.
of that particular malts that they use, then nagkakaroon ng ganong klaseng.
So you can just imagine, right? So we just introduced the world to basically four ingredients, but with one ingredient, the spectrum pare is endless, right?
Yeah.
So guys, making craft beer is not just, it's not that simple, right? You can go crazy with creating your beer in so many different ways. Diba? I mean, June, for example, have you seen recipes that use, I don't know, 3 or 4 different kinds of malts? May mga ganon, no?
Well, ako like, kasi I'm like, gusto ko like really simple recipe.
Yeah.
I'm not, kasi especially when I started before. I don't, kasi I really want to know, halimbawa, pag marami kasi, you put this and that, diba? Ang dami. When you taste it, hindi mo alam where is this flavor coming from, diba? So parang, if you're really serious about, like, into craft beer talaga, diba? So, make it simple, it's easier for you. Dito to nanggaling, that's why I got this flavor, diba? So, you can easily adjust. Mas madaling mag-adjust rather than you get everything like 10 klaseng grades. Parang saan ba to? Ano to? 'Di ba? Like so for me it's always like siguro maximum 4 I think, but usually 3, 2 or 3. And I like to do like, smash, that we have this
Smash is an acronym, right?
Yes,
Smash.
It's single malt, single hop.
Okay, so smash, single malt, and single hop. So that's smash. So sometimes that's a good way of really identifying the malt and the kind of hop. Yes. In fact, there were some craft breweries that did that. Mikkeller, diba? They had a whole set of smash brews, right? Yes, so you wanted to taste mosaic. You wanted the, well, I'm talking about the names of the hops, right? We'll get to that in a while, but you could try each one by simplifying the brew, correct?
Yes. Like on a commercial level, diba? It is actually nice kasi you're not, diba, you're offering one kind ng halimbawa smash ng like mosaic, then sunod citra, diba? Of course, you're not gonna stay in one like isang beer lang, diba? You want to try everything.
Everything,
So I'm gonna
yes,
try
yes.
that, right? So yeah.
And then another thing about sugar content in the malt. So there's pale, right, where it's really pale, right, the lightest malt, and then you
Mhm.
go to the darkest.
Mhm.
What happens to the sugar content as you roast the malt? And you keep
Okay.
roasting
Yes.
the malt. So
So
you're getting darker and darker. What happens to the sugars?
okay. So okay, but before that, diba, like you will see that here meron ditong malt type and color, diba? So like when you roast your malts, it actually become darker. So it also not just the flavor that contributes, it also color. So it changed the
Yes.
color. All right.
Right.
So with regards to your questions, when you parang ano tawag dito? When you cooked it, 'di ba? Or
Yeah.
kiln it,
Yeah.
the sugar content of that grains will mawawala siya. Like compared to like it's the very pale beer which contains a lot of sugar or a lot of
Okay.
starches. So
So
usually
it doesn't mean, because some people have this notion sometimes that the darker the beer, wow, ano to, malakas to,
stronger.
it's stronger. Not necessarily,
No,
because
no.
the darker the grain, the less sugar. But of course, I don't want to get into the whole cheating bit where you can add sugar. But if you were to be a strict brewer using a dark malt only, that's not gonna be a very high alcoholic beer because you've already cooked the sugar,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then kasi yung that sugar that you will get it from that grains is not fermentable na ikayang i-digest ng yeast. So the
Okay.
particular sugar that the yeast can eat and convert it into alcohol.
But
So
what does it contribute to the beer? Diba? It contributes a lot of body. And
yes.
yung head, like if you guys seen those Irish Guinness, for example, and all that, the head of the beer is so thick, it's like cream, right?
Yes.
That's from the malt, isn't it?
From well, maraming components. So
Yeah.
of course that's one like from malts, like diba some
The
kung gusto mo talaga
proteins.
you get that heavy thick foam, then you use like flake oats, diba?
Right.
So,
It's also the kind of grain you use. Yeah.
yes, that's right. Like wheat malts, it also gives you thicker body to your
Interesting. Okay. Here's a color based on a standard reference, because we have this thing. We have different measurements in craft brewing, and SRM, right, is like you were touching that earlier, like how the different malts contribute to the different colors in beer. Correct?
Yep.
Now, can you go through this table that you're seeing here?
Okay.
From
So
from the lightest one. So what do you see here?
okay. So like in beer or particularly in craft beer, we have this called a standard styles, right? So like it's there's a parang organization which is we call it BJCP. It's beer judging competition. I don't know what the P stands for, right? So, but anyway.
Party.
So anyway,
Okay.
so and then meron silang like really per pale ale, there's a color in between that you follow. All right. So
Okay.
especially if you're joining a competition, if your entry is a pale ale but your color is darker, So
it's not
automatically,
out.
disqualified ka na kasi it
Yeah.
should
It
park
should
your...
follow the rule.
Yes,
Yeah.
right?
I just
So,
did some research and it's the Beer Judge Certification Program.
Program!
so hindi party, hindi party.
Hindi pala party. Program.
Yeah.
All right.
So, and then, di ba, then the color, I don't know, hindi ako very familiar with this, but usually the color, they use it to call it styles na. Parang, di ba, meron pag amber or blonde or pale, so it parks, naging style na siya.
Okay.
Diba?
Okay.
Yeah. So, like, diba, you will see here, there's a blonde ale, so which is blonde color.
Yes.
There's a pale ale or amber ale or golden, so and so on and so on and so forth.
And
Brown.
so on and so forth. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's interesting. So that when people wonder why there's so many colors of beer, it's not, there's a reason for that, right? There's a style that you're trying to brew, right?
Yeah.
And there are people who care about the rules and there are people who don't care about the rules and make up their own, right?
Yes.
But you know, there is structure in craft beer. Meron. There is a structure.
Yeah. And I think the beauty of craft is, I mean, as long as you can actually do anything you want, diba? And then name it as you want.
Yeah.
But in reality talaga, we have something now we followed. Right?
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to hops. Now, this thing is interesting. You know, hops is that green thing that we saw, that herb that is the cousin of the cannabis. But okay, what does, I mean, you have different names here, right?
Okay.
Jun, Centennial, Amarillo, Cascade. Why are there so many kinds and what are they for?
Okay, so these names are like Amarillo, Cascade, Centennials. These are the variety of hops. All right. So the hops itself, they have compounds that they have, like, diba? They will get a fruity notes, floral. Ano pa ba ang mababasa ko dito? Yeah. So they have a compounds that brings flavor to your beer. Okay. And besides that, depende where in the beer process you put your hops, it also contributes a different
effect
contributes
to the beer.
different, it contributes to your beer. So when you put your hops sa initial brew, yung nag-start pa lang mag-boil yung beer mo, kasi of course kasi we have to boil our beer. All right? So pag yung hops nilagay mo sa first stage pa lang na nag-boil siya, it contributes bitterness.
Okay, that's interesting, right? So when you start boiling your wort is basically the
unfermented
beer. It's sugar water, right?
Yes.
And so when you start boiling that, and we're gonna show the whole process of brewing beer in a bit, and you put the hops early on the boil, you're contributing to the bitterness of the beer.
That's
okay,
right.
The bitterness.
Yeah.
Okay, it's interesting because there's a reason why. As the time goes by, what happens when you start putting it late in the...
and then you put it in the middle, it actually contributes more on the flavor side. Okay. So you will get that flavor, okay? And then on the later part of it, of the boil, it actually contributes the aroma. Kasi hindi siya naboboil, so it just contributes more on the aroma. So,
and so what do we call the alpha acids? Is that it? And there's that's a little technical already, but inside the hop, inside the plant, that bud, what do you? Yeah.
Okay, there's they called it loop. What do you call that?
Yeah, it's a funky name.
Yes.
It starts with the letter L.
Loop.
I forget.
But something like that. But anyway, so
don't worry, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it in a short while. You know, there's a name.
So meron siyang, they call it beta and Alpha
Okay.
sa beer. So, but usually the one that
These are oils, right? These
yes.
are oils.
So the higher the alpha acids is
Okay.
usually the bitter it is.
The more, yeah, okay.
The more
Contributes
bitter.
to more bitterness,
Yes,
diba?
yes. So
Yeah.
like itong mga hops na to, meron mga hops na they call it bittering hops. So ginagamit lang siya talaga for bittering.
For bittering. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
So and then of course like meron din siyang aroma hops, not just for aroma, but it doesn't stop you that using reverse, diba? But of course, you have to use you have to really be careful kasi it might just pure bitter lang yung beer mo. Kasi,
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Were you guys trying to say lupulin gas?
That's it. That's
Lupulin
it. That's
glands?
it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Exactly. That's it. So here in the hop wheel, you can see there are bittering hops. There's dual hops, like you were saying. A hop can be either bittering and aroma, and then there's the aroma hops.
yes.
So that's what's nice with, we were just talking about malt, the different kinds of malt, and now you've got a whole spectrum of hops naman, right?
Yep. So, like if you really look at it, diba? Even I give you the same recipe, right? Of the grains, diba? Grains, bawa isang kilong ganito, isang kilong ganyan, right? But you use a different hops, you will get a different beer.
Altogether.
Even I give you the same recipe and the same hops, but you're using a different yeast, you will get a different beer at all, right?
So yeah.
Even you get this, everything is the same, right? From your water, from your grains, from your hops, from your yeast, they're all the same, but the temperature
changes.
How you ferment, it also makes
changes
it different. So it's really different. It's
that exact, right, Jun? It's like
hard
baking,
to copy
right?
someone.
It's hard to copy. It's hard to copy because one change and the whole thing just changes.
Yeah. Yep.
You can't, it's very difficult. And that's the reason why people can come out with I used, Amarillo hops in this one. Yeah. But then you don't know when they put the Amarillo hops in. You didn't know how much of it, and the whole beer changes, right?
Yes, that's right.
Very interesting. Okay, let's move on to the types of brewing yeast. We were just talking about yeasts, right?
Okay. Yes.
So it's not just the brewer's yeast. It's not whatever yeast can be used for converting the sugars. There's different kinds of yeast, right?
Yes.
Tell us about that, Jun.
Okay, so, diba, like if you really look at it, like yeast is almost anywhere, diba? Like you will get from here, you'll get yeast, right? But that's what we call wild yeast in the brewing world. We called it that's wild yeast, right? But some brewers, especially in the Europe side, they actually depend yung kanilang beer in the wild yeast.
Wild
diba?
yeast.
Yung, ano ba to, mga, especially those Belgian style beer.
Diba? The monks.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
So, and then, diba, but in sa brewing naman, meron kami tinatawag na dalawang klase na yeast, diba? Which is the ale yeast and the lager yeast. Okay? So, it's bottom fermenting and top fermenting. So, yung ale, okay, we go to the lager muna. Lager is like your San Miguel beer or mostly karamihan mga commercial beers or
like the Bud Lights of this world,
yes.
Mga ganyan.
So,
the one that's really, really golden commercial beer. Yeah.
Yes. So that's usually they use lager yeast. So ang kanyang profile ng yeast na yung ma-develop niya sa beer niya, it will be light, crisp, ano pa ba? Usually that's it. Like easy to drink, it's very light, and crisp ang flavor.
And why do you say bottom? What is a bottom fermenting? Why do you say bottom?
So, okay. So because the yeast actually ferments below. Okay.
Below.
And then, yep. And then, actually, even me, medyo na-confuse ako dito, bottom and top fermenting. Usually, I separate them between temperatures kasi lager yeast or lager fermentation is actually, you fermented it on a much colder temperature. So
Okay.
usually around between 12 to 8 degrees when you ferment.
That's very low. That's very
Yes.
cold. Yeah.
So I think kaya if you kung mananotice mo, most of the home brewers are they brewing ale yeast because yung ale yeast are much hotter,
Okay.
which is between 22 to 18 degrees.
Okay,
All
Celsius, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
it's
So it's
in
at
Celsius.
least it's a temperature you can get from an air conditioner,
Yep.
from a basement, diba? I mean, if you're gonna be doing lagering type of fermentation,
Then
you
you
need
need
a
a chill.
special equipment.
You need a chiller.
Yeah.
And then and I think and the beauty of now, right, in our brewing world is merong yeast na na-develop na from Norwegian, they call it Norwegian yeast, or they call it Quebec. Okay, but anyway, it's sounds like that.
Yeah.
And ferment in a normal temperature like this, like up to 42. I think maximum is 42 degrees.
That's brilliant.
So,
You know, the technology, I can assure you. Yeah, here he is. What's it? Quebec. I don't even know how. Quebec. Yeah.
Yung iba,
Interesting, huh? So in other words, Jun, I don't have to be temperature sensitive. It will work.
no,
In our Philippine heat, ganito?
Of course, okay, that will work. But the thing is, okay, sa brewing, ang pinaka-critical sa lahat, for me, is the fermentation part. You really have to control your fermentation. Like, kung ang specification ng yeast mo, you have to ferment it at this temperature, you really have to follow that. Because otherwise, your fermentation will, I mean, it will complete your fermentation, but the flavor that you will get is not the one
Not there. Yeah.
Yes. So you really have to control, because especially when it fluctuates from bawa 10 degrees difference, magkakaroon ng off flavor na tinatawag doon sa beer na hindi mo gusto na makuha doon sa beer mo. So really have to control that fermentation.
Got you. Okay, let's move on from, okay, we know now the 4 ingredients. You know, we're just trying to skim the top. You can go crazy here. Kasi like what Jun was saying about the different kinds of yeast, there's so many brands out there, but we're just trying to give you the basic idea. Now let's go to the whole process. Okay, this is where it starts. This thing reminds me of how I started also.
Pucha, eto. Ito, di ba, yung manual, that's 2 hours.
That's the worst feeling. Yaya,
it's like a window of an old car, no? Yeah, diba?
Yaya, dito ka muna. Sige nga,
imagine mo, like, 2 kilos lang, siguro mga 2 oras kang mag-iikot dyan.
Okay, what are we doing here? What is this?
Okay,
so... What are you doing?
Ano bang tawag dito? There are the parang miller.
Mill, yeah.
So, okay, so yung kanina na nakita nyo, yung grains, buo siya. Diba? Para siyang buo. And then what we do is we gigilingin mo sila, not exactly giling, but ika-crack.
Okay. You crack it,
Crack it. Hindi siya
not powder, not powdered form.
Hindi siya ipa-powder.
You want to just break the kernels, right?
So just to open that starch.
Right.
So kasi what we're gonna do is expose it para later on when we steep, parang ibababad siya.
That's the next station. Okay, so the cracked grain goes and you mix it with water.
Water. So
now, Why do you do this, Jun? Okay, after you cracked open the grain, you're mixing it with water. What's the point here? The
Okay,
mashing.
So the process is called mashing. So you're putting your grains into the water. So what's gonna happen is it actually extract the starch or the sugar sa grains. So what it does is meron siyang particular enzymes, okay, beta and alpha enzymes that converts your starch into fermentable sugar. Oh, 'di ba medyo
Okay, that's science, right?
technical
But
na,
yeah,
yes.
technical na. But what's basically happening here is your water is becoming sweet. It's
Yes.
becoming sweet,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So it's like you're adding sugar to it, but you need to have the right temperature, correct? The water is not cold water, right? It's not cold water.
So ang ano dito is that's why you will see here that the temperature is because it's very critical in this portion, right? So because kung yung temperature mo is hindi yun yung gusto mo, like for example, I want pale ale, right? And then I want it more alcohol and lighter flavor. If your temperature is, sabihin natin, between 70 degrees, your wort or yung sugar water mo, you'll be sweeter in a way na hindi naman mako-convert ni yeast yung sugar because ang na-extract na kind ng sugar doon sa grains mo are not fermentable kasi higher temperature.
So it's not just any sugar. It has to be fermentable sugar.
That's right.
That's the key, right?
Which is glucose, fructose, those kind of sugar.
Maltose, and all that. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, and then usually yung meron tayong, they called it sacrification rest. So, ang ano mo is yung temperature mo is between 65 to 68 degrees.
You have to leave it there. Let it rest.
So
you don't mix it, and you let the chemistry work. Let the sugars go to the water, correct?
So yung iba, of course, may mga ibang equipment na they recirculate it to really extract the whole sugar, but some
those are brewing techniques na, di ba? Brewing techniques. How do you get the most sugar out of your grain that you can have a very good healthy fermentation, di ba?
Yep.
Yeah. So like here, after that, you have to separate na.
So what they're doing is they're extracting or taking out the bag of grains and then ready for boiling na siya.
Okay, which is the next one there. That's it. So boiling.
So what happens is usually they boil it like 60 minutes. Okay. The boiling is hindi lang just boiling. It's actually binoboil mo siya to kill all the bacteria. You convert to, halimbawa, gusto mo maging darker color yung beer mo, so you actually kasi the longer you boil, magiging kokonti yung liquid,
you're concentrating it. Nagko-concentrate.
Magiging concentrated siya, so meaning tataas yung sugar, ang chance na tumaas yung alcohol. Right?
So evaporation of water creates a more potent, thicker, Now, what are they throwing into the boil?
So, ito yung that I mentioned earlier. These are the hops. So when you start boiling, you can, if you want to have a bitter beer, you put your hops in early stage of the boil. And then later, kung halimbawa 60 minutes mo i-boil, put it on 60 minutes, and then 30 minutes, and then usually 0 minutes. The 0 minutes is the one that gives more aroma and flavor to your beer.
So just to recap, so imagine all the different kinds of malt that you used, create the recipe, and then now you try your different types of hops. It doesn't have to be the same variety all throughout, right?
Yes.
So your hop bittering hop can be different from your mid hops to your aroma hops.
That's right.
Okay. And that creates a whole beer right there.
Do you
Right
always
there.
have to put all three?
Not necessarily, right, June?
Yes.
Some people don't even do all three. I mean, maybe the bittering.
Okay, yeah. Yung iba, like they just put it in a bittering and then later on, yung last na. Well,
Last
it depends
already. Yeah.
on, it's all depends on the brewer.
Yes.
This,
Yes.
yeah. All right. And the recipe, of course, right?
Of
So,
course.
and then, diba, you can actually combine the three hops, habawa, three hops, put it in a, like on the first stage. Diba? Pwede rin yun. Hindi lang
Okay.
like one is to one, or but you can actually combine and then put everything in the serum or the 60 minutes. Right?
Can you
Correct.
make a beer with no hops?
Wow.
Well, I never.
That's a good question. It's not beer, I guess.
No,
What do you
I
call
love
it?
my
What do
beer
you call
hoppy
it?
too. I was just
Yeah, I know. I'm
wondering.
just
I think
wondering,
it's
right?
possible.
It is possible, but then
yeah.
how is it gonna taste?
It will
It's gonna
taste
be
sweet,
sweet.
diba?
It's
Kasi
gonna
I
be
think
very sweet.
So
I
naging
think they're
cider.
Parang,
Yeah.
yeah, but cider's made from apples, right? So this is malt. So what do you call a beer without any?
I think it's beer pa rin, but it's a sweeter beer, diba? But
Yeah.
the reason why they put hops sa beer is to balance that sweetness.
Correct. You have to you balance it. Yeah. Makes sense. Oh, okay. Look at that. Okay, there we go. Research. Gruit is a drink from the olden times. A drink much like beer, but made without the use of hops. All right, there you go. That's your answer, pal. So it sounds like something, John
The
Doe.
more you know.
Yeah, the more you know. Now, gruit sounds like something the druids would drink, man. I mean,
Exactly.
right? It's like, I want my gruit, some tavern and shit, right? Wala pang hops noon, di ba?
Yeah.
So, puta, I'm gonna drink my gruit. It sounds pretty cool, man. Okay, next. So, let's move on. What's this next? Okay, what is that worm-looking thing in the
Okay.
kettle? Ano
All
yan?
right. So right now, 'di ba? Once you boiled it, ang kailangang gagawin mo is you have to cool it down as fast as you
Fast
can.
as possible. Okay.
Right? Kasi of course, this is the time where possible na ma-bacteria siya. So
Okay.
So ang dito kasi yung early stage kasi okay lang na you don't sanitize your hands when you're doing it. Okay?
Right.
Kasi
Right.
beer is so sensitive sa bacteria. So it gets infected by bacteria, your beer will
That's it. It's gone.
that's it. It's gone. All right?
Okay.
So now this coil na nakikita nyo is actually called chiller, coil chill, parang
Chiller. Yeah. Coil.
chiller. So
Word chiller. Yeah.
so the cold water comes in one tube, goes inside the water, and then paglabas niya mainit na siya. So it actually cooling down the sugar water.
It's absorbing the heat.
Yes.
It's
So
removing the heat out of the
exchanger,
work.
we call it.
Heat exchanger. That's right. Heat
So-
exchanger. So you want to cool down the work. Talagang you want to cool it down to what temperature for the
Okay.
yeast?
So depende kung anong yeast ang gagamitin mo. So there's certain temperature, 'di ba? Kung of course kung halimbawa lager ang gagawin mong beer, so you have to heat at least 10 degrees Celsius, right?
Wow.
So kung regular ale, which is our average around 20 to 18 degrees. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you have to cool it down para immediately before you put it into your fermenters.
Okay, which is here. Yan. Ayun yan. What are
Okay.
they putting there? That's already a fermenter, a carboy. Okay, that's the cooled wort already. And then that's when you can put the yeast.
Yes. Okay, so make sure that your temperature is the temperature that the yeast can survive. Kasi usually may ano naman yan, may specification sa mga yeast packet. So
Yes.
you have to make sure that it actually meet that particular temperature. Otherwise, baka mamatay yung yeast mo.
Oh, so what's this now? What am I looking at? That's
So,
already.
so now this is the like so it so you will ferment your beer. So yung nasa taas niya is airlock.
What's an airlock for? Why do you
Alright,
need to do
airlock
that?
or airlock is ang purpose niyan is so there's no air coming in doon sa liquid mo and it's all coming out. Okay? So the fermentation process it actually converts your sugar yung nandoon sa liquid to alcohol and carbon dioxide. So the carbon dioxide escape from the that airlock so walang makakapasok na oxygen
Okay, goes out and there's no oxygen coming
one way.
in.
It's a one-way valve.
One-way
Yeah.
valve.
Yes.
Okay. And why? Because oxygen, if
Uh,
oxygen enters, what happens?
It will spoil your beer.
Okay.
It will just initially before you pitch in the yeast, you have to oxygenate it. Okay? You shake it para ma-oxygenate mo yung liquid. Then put the yeast. But when the yeast started eating the sugar or start fermenting, then
Wala na.
yeah, dapat hindi na siya ma-oxygenate kasi oxygen really spoils everything. Diba? Like food, if it's vacuum sealed, your food lasts longer. Diba?
Right,
So the lesser the oxygen, the better your beer.
Okay, and this is the last stage. Here we are. Now we see bottles. Okay. What's going on here?
So usually fermentation will take depende kung anong klaseng yeast ang gagamitin mo. So but average it will take you around 5 days to 7 days or a week to complete the fermentation. All right. And then after fermentation, you start bottling it. Okay, so you transfer it to your bottles or okay. But
Sanitized dapat. Those bottles are clean, no?
okay, so right now everything that will touch your beer must be sanitized. Para kang doktor that everything must be sanitized, diba? Kasi otherwise it will spoil your beer. So
how do you properly sanitize a bottle?
So meron siya. You have to clean it. Okay, that's two things. It's clean and sanitize. It doesn't mean you're clean, sanitize, right? It doesn't mean that you sanitize, it's clean. So you have to do both. You have to clean and sanitize, right? So sanitize is there are liquid or products that you can buy, which is food grade. Na you just mix it with water, like 2 drops of maybe certain drops, and then you can actually use that like a whole bucket, and then just use it. Okay.
And then you bottle and you cap it.
Yes. All right. But doing bottling, remember, the beer needs carbonation, right?
Yes.
Diba? So, but remember, nung nag-ferment tayo, all the carbonation or all the CO2 escape kasi yung ano natin is yung airlock natin is one way, so it actually goes away. So yung beer natin na fermented it's not carbonated.
It's flat.
Right? It's flat, right? So here, if you want your beer to be carbonated, they put sugar or like corn sugar or table sugar para magre-ferment ulit siya.
In other words, there's still yeast there, diba?
Yes.
There's still, it's a living thing. Yeah?
Yes.
That beer is not dead. It's alive, right?
So, kahit sabihin mo, nag-settle down yung sediments na yan, diba?
Yeah.
Sa bottom. Right? There's still a lot of yeast in suspension dun sa liquid. So, even though na hindi mo siya scoop yung nasa ilalim and like you start bottling it, and when you put the sugar, there's still yeast that will ferment your sugar. Then so that makes your beer
carbonate.
Yeah, that makes your beer carbonated.
Since you're capping it after you put the sugar, you cap it, so sealed na siya, no? Sealed.
Yes. So hindi siya mag-escape, right?
Yeah.
So ang mangyayari is that when it starts fermenting, that CO2 will mix it with the liquid, then that starts become.
So when you open that bottle, there's gonna be the, diba? Yeah. So it's carbonated, and you pour it. It's
And then
beautiful. Wow, man. So okay, ales and lagers. So you talked about it earlier. So it's really about where the yeast ferments.
yes,
If it's a top fermenting or bottom
yes,
fermenting.
yeah.
Let's
And
talk
then
about it. So the different kinds of lagers and ales, because people get confused, no?
okay,
So like what you were saying.
yes. No, and like it also medyo it's kind of complicated, di ba? Like halimbawa, meron kasing they call pale ale, right? But there's an American pale ale, there's an English pale ale, which is ESB, and there's other like German pale ale or other marami, right? Of course, because the yeast that is different, that's why they have a style that all under pale ale from about American, British, German, and others, and so on. Are lager that use, diba, American malts, American hops, and a particular yeast, like a US yeast, diba? Kasi for example, gumawa ka ng American lager or American ale, or using German yeast and German hops, but parang so beer, you can always name it anything.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, pwede mong gawin yan. It doesn't, but yung bag, kumbaga, we called it out of style, but still, if it's
still
drinkable,
good.
if it's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, here, types of craft beer glasses. Now glassware. Pare, you know, in the last how many years, the glassware just went crazy, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't follow it anymore. It's just, you know, some brewers even design their own glass to
Yes.
get the best experience from drinking that craft, right?
When I travel, ang dami kong nininenok ng mga glasses from, di ba, we were in at McKellar's shop. Oh, sorry. McKellar, thank you for the beer. I took like maybe 2. I think marami. Like, hindi lang ako. I think yung mga Pilipino na nagpunta sa Bangkok last year.
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, because it's nice. Because it's nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
Because the beer, like especially craft beer, are not just served in your regular mug or your regular glass.
Yes.
Diba?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it usually serve it in this beautiful
Different kinds,
glasses.
diba?
Yeah. Yes. So meron,
There's now, it's like wine, man. It's like crazy. Look at that.
That's
There's
right.
a tulip.
The
There's
beer
a tulip.
tasting
just
wine.
like this, diba?
Yeah. Oh, the putamate.
Kasi I've been talking na kanina pa na medyo parang the dry nila ng ulan ko.
Okay.
The beer tasting glass really looks like a wine glass
Yeah.
with the stem.
Diba? If you look at it, diba?
Because I guess you have to look at, you know, you want to appreciate the color, you want to appreciate, and then you want to sniff it. So the glass does a lot to be able to sniff it, diba? Is that the reposado?
Yes.
Yes, it's the reposado.
That's why.
Wow,
Parang,
kaboom.
this is not the regular.
It's not the regular. Yeah, it rested in a whiskey barrel. Look at that. It's so dark. Look at that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're right. I mean, glassware does something to it. It looks good. It looks appetizing, but it also contributes to the overall experience of drinking the craft. Because remember, we're not drinking commercial beer. Commercial beer can be drank out of any vessel. But craft beer, when you're looking for that aroma, you're looking for the look of the head. You know, it's I think it's interesting. You know, like what you're holding on is a wine glass.
Yes.
That's a good glass to sniff also, diba? I mean, why not? Yeah. Okay, Jun, let's talk a little bit about this association, Craft Beer Association of the Philippines.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know, it's crazy because here all bunch of home brewers, brewers that have gone forward to putting up their own breweries, commercially, but it's one group. Tell us about it. What makes up this whole organization?
Okay. Okay. CBAP is actually the Craft Beer Association. Right. It actually founded 2015. Even before pa ako dumating dito, it actually, I think, organized it already. So, so basically what it does is make the whole industry united, diba? I think especially the yung mga founder nito is I think they notice that the community or the industry is growing. So I think it's nice to organize it in a way that there's an association that will set rules and regulation and work with governments. Especially, I think this is the beauty of having an association. It's really working with government agencies and and having one voice of the whole industry or the whole community has one voice to talk to, like government or in anything.
Exactly, we need that. And look at this now. This is just crazy. I mean, how many brewers are there now in this community? What's your last count?
Okay. Last night I had a talk with Raul from Elias. All right. I think there's a lot of breweries. All right. Like from small to really small.
Yeah, home brewer type. Yeah.
Everything started. Most of them are their capacity are home brew size lang. Siguro yung batch nila maybe maximum 50.
5 gallons or
20 to 10 gallons per batch. All right.
Okay.
But, ang criteria like this list, the criteria na nilagay dito are the brewers who started selling their beer commercially.
Okay.
Yes, it's
so they've gone over the making it and giving it to friends for free, but this is now people who have a label and they're actually monetizing it already. Yeah,
that's right. Yep. Okay. So then last night I had a discussion with like a good discussion with Raul about I think this time we should classify all the breweries para at least it's very maging mas organized.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. Interesting. And then like you have Beer Fest, right? Like the Beer Fest that you've created. And what's nice with the organization, you've also hooked up with Southeast Asia, right? The Sea Brew.
So we've been working.
Tell us about that.
Okay, so Sea Brew is a parang a yearly event. This year supposedly sa Taiwan, but I think because of the pandemic it will be delayed for maybe next year. Hopefully next year. This is a nice event. We had this event last 2018 where they bring this event here in Manila. Natakot ako dyan, di ba? First time kong like host and like talk to like 500 people.
I never did. Yeah, man, diba? I saw you.
Oh my God.
But that's good. Very good experience because I think the camaraderie is there. Everyone's sharing each other's, it's a good thing to have, and it's good that the Philippine community is growing, right?
And then and I think this is last year in Bangkok.
Bangkok, yes, correct.
Yeah. So this is a year.
I didn't make that one, sayang.
So this
Kala ko that was you nga in the middle, that bald guy in the middle. For a sec, dude.
No, man, that's too white.
So this Sea Brew is a yearly event that gathers the craft beer community in Southeast Asia. Well, basically, it's not just Southeast Asia. almost the whole Asia now. I think because of the growing community. I think
Yes.
it's become, and then
Yes.
it
Interesting. Very good.
attended by the people in the brewers in Southeast Asia and in Asia and from Australia, from the US, from Europe. It's almost everywhere now.
Yeah. So, and then Capitolio is yours, June, right? That's your brewing company.
Well, yes, it's just it's a good experience, but
yeah. How many years was Capitolio operating?
it actually operated for like 3 years, but
3 years.
it just so happened that I encountered this wonderful landlord.
Yeah,
Really,
we all have our problems, right? We all have our problems,
yes,
but
yes. So,
but very soon you of course you're still very much in touch with craft beer. You're heading
yes.
our organization, and you will get into retailing craft beer in a very unique way. So we're looking forward to that. Okay, everybody, watch out for June. He has some ideas in mind very soon. You'll see him everywhere. That'll be something to look out for. Okay, we're gonna get into this new segment. Well, it's not new, but it's a segment in our Gross Talk called This or That. Okay, so this one, basically, you're gonna choose either this or that. You can't choose anything. You can't choose them both. You gotta pick one, and you gotta tell us why. Okay, so this is brought to you by our IPA, Mala Yerba. Okay.
Yeah.
Mala Yerba. Okay, here we go, June. Here we go. This or that? Aha! Trick question.
That.
Of course. Can you explain why would June pick an empty glass of beer rather than the full glass of beer? Let's see. Explain, June, why.
Okay, diba? But like people most probably.
Wait! Before you answer, let's ask John Joe. John Joe, do you know why?
Because that is a cleaner glass and this is a dirty glass.
Yes. That's what I thought.
I man the booths for crows. I should know this.
I have to make sure you remember, man. Okay, June, explain the whole.
Okay.
The whole.
So, but most probably your followers or your viewers will, diba, makukonfuse, bakit yung empty glass, right? Okay, but the thing is, looking at that glass, the empty glass, that means it's a clean glass. You know why? Because the lace of the beer is actually stick in your glasses or your.
Okay, the lacing, it's circular, it's concentric, di ba? Pababa,
yes.
no?
Right.
Each time you sip it, it just, the lacing, no? Okay.
And
what's the difference with this one on the left?
Itong nasa left is, even though it is full, but it's not clean. It's not a clean glass because you get that bubble stick in the glass.
Okay, so everyone should understand this, and this is not only for beer, guys. If you're served any carbonated beverage, it could be a cola, it could be I don't know, carbonated water, or
tonic.
Of course, tonic or
I can never look at a drink the same way.
You cannot look at the drink the same way. If somebody offers you a glass looking like that glass on the left with bubbles stuck to it, waiter, come here. I want this returned. Return it. Kasi binanlaw lang yan. Binanlaw.
That's right.
They didn't clean the glass, man.
And then I think that's why we're here. We have to educate people about this thing, right? So like if you look at it, the people who doesn't know anything about this, it was like mas madumi yung nasa kanan or yung empty glass, di ba? Parang ano ba yan? Ganyan, right?
Ano yun?
But if you really look at it, it's really there's a science behind that. That's why yung may mga bubbles na yan, yung mas madumi na glass compared to this one.
Because in a clean glass, the bubbles will not stick on the side of the glass. It'll just keep going up. Correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, good. Okay, next. This or that? That's hard, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's hard, man.
And ano
Because
ako,
both of them can be spicy. Eh? Both of them
yeah.
can be spicy. Yeah.
Okay, I go for this.
Oh,
Really?
gambas. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna go for the sisig, pare. I mean, I don't know, but if you ask me now, I'm gonna go for gambas. I'm all for the gambas.
No, because
Yeah.
I had sisig earlier. So.
It's craving now. No, but with beer though, more often than not, I think it would be that because this is harder to find.
I'll go with John Joe on that. I like that.
Sisig
But okay,
boys. The
I know, but
sisig
I
boys.
think but the beauty of like drinking craft beer is you can almost pair it with
With anything,
Yeah.
man.
uh,
Anything.
Masarap
Anything
kasi pag may
goes.
taba eh. I really like beer
and
with
then
taba.
that kanina tinitingnan ko yung sili, di ba? Parang spicy.
Sile!
Oh, you gotta start it again.
You
John
just
Joe
did-
started
you
with
just
Sila.
did-
That's why I saw it's a gratuitous amount of sili on the sisig. It's
Yeah.
I knew it. That you just made John Joe's day, man. Okay, next. Okay, dude. This or that?
Okay.
I think I got you here.
I think more on ABV ako.
Okay, let's explain. Can you explain what ABV is compared to
Okay,
IBU?
I mean, I think the IBU is the bittering unit or like parang grade for the bitterness of a beer, right? So international bittering unit. So meaning if you get a higher number, you get more bitter beer, right?
Right.
So I think I prefer higher alcohol than higher bitterness.
Good choice. Good choice. And it doesn't necessarily follow that something is more bitter with more alcohol,
Yes.
right? You
Yep.
can have a very low bitter beer, high in alcohol, right? So,
right.
yeah. But good choice.
And
ABV.
just eto, 'di ba? Like this, 'di ba? Like what I'm
Okay.
drinking. It's
Yeah.
high ABV to.
Mm.
Pero
Oh yeah.
the bitterness is not punch.
Yes, it
Parang
doesn't.
sinapak but the alcohol, 'di ba? Parang whoo!
It's actually, it's interesting because it's the same de puta madre, which is over 100 IBUs, but then when you rest it in the barrel of whiskey, it tames it. You're getting
Okay.
more. I think what you're getting more from the barrel is that vanilla-ish, the barrel the caramel. Yeah.
Yes,
So
I actually taste the caramel.
exactly. So that's from the barrel. So it changes. You've tasted my regular de puta madre. It's a whole different beer, right? It's a whole different beer just by putting it inside a barrel. Yeah. Interesting stuff. Okay, next. As a brewer,
As a brewer,
this or that?
I mean, if I'm a brewer, is actually production. Like
Yeah,
this.
but I mean, what I meant by the craft brewery, not car salesman. I mean craft brewery, because craft brewers handle all aspects pretty much, right? But if you were to choose, which way would you go? Producing or selling?
No, producing.
Producing.
I think more, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because
interesting.
like
Yeah.
I mean, me as a brewer, right? I actually love producing beer, but of course, but at the end of the day, you're running a business, right? So
You gotta sell
it
it.
should be balanced. Yep.
That's the
Yep.
thing, you know what I mean? That's why, it's fun for, like a brewer. I love to create, right? But then sometimes, you create all this stuff, but you forget, you gotta sell it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna do something about this and it's a business, you gotta
think-
sell it, right?
I think we also need to tell those those people who's admiring to go into beer business, right?
Right.
Brewing beer is just 5 or 10% of the actual business of brewing or the brewery business. Is the, going into the business is totally different. Hindi lang yung akala nyo dati na, oy, okay yung beer ko people
It'll
drinks
sell.
it.
Yeah, it'll
No,
sell.
it's
Yeah.
not. It's not.
No.
It's totally different. You need to do a lot of marketing. You need to do a lot of selling. Yung brewing is just 10%
Of the whole. Yeah. Good point. Good point. And a lot of viewers should understand that. You know,
yes.
You of course you have your friends and relatives who are gonna appreciate your product, but you know when you start maturing into the business, you're gonna have to sell to strangers, right? So you know they don't know you from Adam, right? Yeah.
And then I think you need to be like what I think most of us, diba, be passionate about it, diba?
Yeah.
Because I think that's the beauty of why most of the brewery business lasts, because of the people who are passionate and love what they're doing. That's why it actually
Keeps
survives.
going. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, next. This or that. All
Of
right.
course, this. I mean,
You know, can you tell them what this is East
I don't
versus
know.
West? You know, this is like hip hop, man. You got the East Coast and the West Coast, right? You know, it's like hip hop, man. It's like also, you know, the all stars, right?
I tried this New England IPAs. It's not my style. It's really not my style.
You were influenced by West Coast beer in Singapore, or was it East Coast beer?
Okay. I like it. For me, I'm not into IPA. I like pale ale. I just like easy drinking pale ale. All right, but West Coast IPA because it's clean. I don't know. Basta
Ito, here. Let me help you. Let me help you here. Kasi I found this. There was a brewery called Mountain Style IPAs now, okay? But there's the West Coast. It's like you're saying, it's clear, it's dry finish, malty, aggressively hop.
That's
the New England style, which is the East Coast, it's sweet, it's very cloudy, it's juicy. Di ba? Parang fruit stripe.
Ano talaga? It's a juice. Juice talaga siya.
Yeah. And then so I don't know about this mountain style IPA. When I was reading it, I said, okay, they're juicy, hazy. Sorry, man. That's not in the middle. That goes all the way to the east. When I read the words hazy and juicy, that's in the east.
No, but the thing is, I think the beauty of craft beer is there's always something for you, diba? If you don't like a style, that kind of style, that's because of there's so many styles, variety of beer. Most probably there's one that really
it's for you. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not knocking anyone down. Obviously, it's my personal preference, right?
Yes, that's right.
And just like you, and there are people out there who like the East Coast style, but I just had to put it out there so now everybody knows.
Okay.
You're a West Coast guy, right?
No, the thing is
there like some sort of like tribal fucking? Isn't there like some tribal?
There's some loyalty to.
I'm a West Coaster.
But before, when parang I think last of my brews in Capitolio, I got this beer, which is Tony, the brewer, right?
Yeah.
He loves juicy IPA or New England IPA. So most of his beer or most of his brew is New England IPA. Right. And then I noticed that he keep coming back and drink this beer. Parang for me, it was like, munti ko nang itapon siya kasi for me, it's I don't like it.
Yeah.
Parang, but him, it's like almost every night he will go there and drink that beer.
The same one.
Yeah. And then Nilalasahan ko siya.
Teka muna.
Totally, it's not my style, but
Yeah.
he loves it. He loves it.
See,
And,
it's really meant for people. I mean, it's subjective. Just like we had a session on wine, right? Wine is really up to, I think, John Joe, what was the quote? It's that you said, wine.
There's no such thing as the greatest wine in the world, but there is such thing as the greatest wine for you. So also with the beer.
Okay, so I think it holds true for the beer. Yeah, I think it holds true for the beer. Jun, well, that's the show, man. I mean, thank you so much for joining us and educating us on beer, craft beer 101.
Finally.
Wait! I want vindication.
Okay, what's the vindication?
I want
Janzo?
vindication. Earlier at the start of the show, we talked about where was beer first made. Iken, can you please pull up beer nuns? Just so, because beer nuns. And then put it up. I promise you. That's why I double checked. I'm not wrong on this. The modern beer that we know was actually began by Sister Doris. She is a nun, and it started in the 12th century. She's a Benedictine monk.
No way.
Vindication. Consider yourselves educated.
So wait, but wait, you were talking. We're okay,
beer
but
nuns.
as with hops and everything. Okay,
Yeah.
not okay. So
because brewing came way before in the 17th century. Like witches can brew.
yeah,
Anything that even cooking was brewing, but she was the one that actually began the modern beer culture, which was
Wow.
bottling, selling, and yeah. And one thing I wanted to bring up, that's why I wanted to segue to this. A lot of our viewers who might be, who are also women, they think it's a man's industry. Now in CBAP June, we actually do have female brewers, diba?
Yep.
yes, we do. Absolutely.
Like here in like from Palawan,
Palawan.
and then si Belias Brujas.
Brujas, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so I wanted to segue to that because I don't want our female viewers to be thinking that, oh, it's a man's industry, ganon.
Not at all, man.
It's
And you don't and you don't have to grow a beard, dude. Yeah. Okay, and with that, we end. Buddy, thank you so much, Jun. Thank you so much for the show, and hope to have you back again in the future with your new and when you get into your new enterprise. Okay, and tell us more about that. And there we go. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thank you, June.
Thank you.
Cheers,
Yeah,
man.
thank you. O, tingnan mo.